So let's contemplate on today's shloka. Let me get the shloka on screen. 1 second. Okay. So today's shloka is evaṁ paramparā-prāptam. So can I, before we start, can I have a Snigdha? Would you like to chant today's shloka?
Yes.
Actually, Snigdha, last time I think you got the chance. Can we give it to someone else?
Yeah, okay.
Kirtana, would you like to?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll chant one line. I'll chant a part and you can repeat after me. Okay. So everybody, please sit straight, close your eyes, and chant along with Kirtana. Evaṁ paramparā.
Evaṁ paramparā.
Prāptam.
Prāptam.
Imam.
Imam.
Rajashayo viduhu.
Rajarshayo viduhu.
Sakale neha.
Sakale neha.
Mahata.
Mahata.
Yogo nashta.
Yogo
Parantapa.
parantapa.
Once again. Evaṁ paramparā-prāptam.
Evaṁ paramparā-prāptam.
Imam rajashayo viduhu.
Imam rajarshayo viduhu.
Sakale neha mahata.
Sakale neha mahata.
Yogo nashta parantapa.
Yogo nashta parantapa.
Thank you. Can you read the meaning under that?
Yeah. Wait. O subduer of enemies, the saintly kings thus received the science of yoga in a continuous tradition, but with the long passage of time, it was lost to the world.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is, when they talk about yoga, this is slightly related to the previous shloka. So we'll look at that later on. Before we get into it, I'll narrate a short story. So long ago, there were two parrots. They were both brothers. So they were born to the same parrot and they were in the same cage together. But one day they were separated. One of the parrot was taken by a nice, sweet, and kind hermit who would frequently be teaching others. He would be chanting, and he'd be doing really saintly and nice stuff for others. He'd always be helping people around him, and he'd be always nice to the parrot. He'd take care of it. But the other parrot, the brother of the parrot that was taken by the hermit, was taken by a butcher. This butcher was not like the hermit. He was a little more rude. He would shout at people. He'd scold people. He was a little more rude, and he was always shouting at people. He wouldn't be a nice person. So what would happen if we're surrounded by a person who's so nice, whereas when we're surrounded by a person who's so rude? So this is what happens when one day the king of a close by town comes and visits both of these parrots. So he comes to the butcher first. He sees the parrot, and the parrot looks at him and he starts shouting. He starts saying rude words. He's saying, kill him, chop him up. And he says really rude stuff like how the butcher, whatever, and he's not saying that by himself. He's just saying what he heard from the butcher. And he shouts at the king, he scolds the king, and this king gets confused. He's like, what is this parrot saying? Why is it saying that? And he rides away, he goes away from this parrot, and then he goes to the hermit. Over here he sees the parrot and he's like, oh no, another parrot that'll shout at me and be rude to me. But when he goes close to this parrot, the parrot slowly talks to him in a really nice and sweet voice and tells and welcomes the king. and tells, take a seat, and he welcomes him and he starts talking to him in a really nice way. And the king is surprised. He says, how are they both the same? They're both the exact same parrot, but how are they completely different, right? So this is what the shloka talks about, the exact two parrots, but they have completely different words that they say and words that they think about. So what is this? How is this related to the shloka? If you look at the previous shloka, Krishna is talking about the parampara of this divine knowledge. He talks about how this was passed on from many generations. If you remember, I talked about the cycle parampara, similar to how this was passed on from Krishna to the sun god to us right here. So this shloka talks about why it's being passed on and who it should be passed on to. So like how the exact two parrots learned it in a different way, the shloka also tells us. So it's saying this knowledge can be lost to the world. What does it mean? If it's a truth, can it really be lost? When Krishna says lost, he doesn't mean forgotten or something. He means when it's interpreted in the wrong way. So the same knowledge can be taught to two different people, like how the same knowledge and the same things were the parts were the exact same, but they got completely different things. So two people can receive something completely different. So this is what Krishna talks about when he says it's lost to the world. It can be lost in various forms. It can be through misinterpretation, or it can be when you don't even want to understand it and you simply remember something. That time we can interpret in the wrong way. So that's what Krishna tells. So when we receive a knowledge, we should also think about it. We should also contemplate on it, and we should understand what are they saying, and why is this being said, and how can we apply it in our life. So that's what we learn about in this shloka, and next shloka also you will see a little more about what kind of a person you has to really understand this, and what it requires to understand this knowledge. So, to summarize, this shloka talks about how this knowledge should be received, and who really, how it can be taken, and how it can be passed on from generation to generation. So, like how the two parrots, they were completely different at the end, but they started from the same point. Similarly, we all start from the same point, but we turn out to be completely different. And how does this affect us? And how do we change ourselves? It's simple. We simply change the people. We see the people around us and we adapt what they do. And that is what makes us, right? So that's what the shloka talks about. Anyone has any questions? No questions? Okay. Would anyone like to share their understanding? Tejas.
Actually, I know the story. It is told as a same meaning, but it is told in a different way. It is about these two birds which get separated during a storm. The mother bird dies in the storm, and one bird gets blown away to a rishi's ashram. Another one gets blown to a robber's cave. So both of them learned in a way in their own, like they learned how it was in their own environment. So it's the same thing was in the story. When one king comes to the robber's cave, and then the bird says, "Hey, rob him! Steal his ornaments, steal his horse." Then the king runs away. Then he goes to the rishi's ashram, and then he finds the same bird with the same looks as the one that he found near the cave. But then it spoke in a very like welcoming tone. It asked him to drink water from the pot. So the king got puzzled, and he asked the ashram, and he asked the rishi, why is this happening? So after the rishi explained everything to him, the rishi said, finally the moral of this story is that one is known by the company one keeps. So here in this story they're talking about parrots. So the the parrots got influenced by their environment. Since they know how to like mimic voice. And in this story in my textbook, it was very very similar. Now about this, but with a long passage of time, it is lost to the world. It is like you said, it is misinterpreted. Like how Sati got very angry with Daksha, and she burned herself because of that. It was misinterpreted to the rest of India, and they thought that if the husband dies, then they have to cremate the lady. It is similar to that. So that's what I learned.
Thank you. Yeah, true. So like how when like it doesn't have to necessarily be lost, but it's just misinterpreted, right?
Yeah, like it is somewhat corrupted. So, like if you want to do if you're supposed to do this in future generations, you'll be doing the same thing, but it would be very different. It would, like, the way you do it is different. Like, it can either be bad, it can either be good, it can be anything. Everything changes in this world, and that's how it's like, that's how the illusion of time takes place.
Really true. And like how you said that Sati example, there are many examples like the Ganesha. We misinterpret and we take all these artificial things and we dip it in the river and we pollute all our water sources, right? That's
Yes,
another example. Just like this, there are hundreds of examples. Like we just blindly follow traditions.
exactly.
Right. Thank you, Tejas. Snigdha.
Yeah, so what I understood from the story is that, so first of all, the first speciality about parrots are that whenever they see what a person is doing, or like whatever they hear what the person is doing, they imitate the same thing. So when the first parrot was in the guru's ashram, that parrot observed what the guru was saying to the other people, and he started. Then he got that thing in his mind, and when the king came, he started saying all those things to him. The truth is that parrots don't really understand. They just imitate. They don't really understand, like, what is this or what am I telling. They don't really, it's just a speciality they have. And with the other parrot, the parrot with the butcher, that parrot was like whatever the butcher said. The butcher told really bad stuff to the customers. So even he started saying to the king. So basically, as I said, parrots don't really understand anything. They just hear it and just imitate it. So you have to be really careful when there's a parrot around. So because the parrot will always be observing you, whatever you say. So you should never say bad stuff in front of a parrot, or else it's just saying it back to you because it doesn't know what it's saying.
Yeah. And that reminded me, it doesn't have to be a parrot. It can even be a person, right? We are, in a way, we are all parrots. We all constantly hear 1+1 is 2, 1+1 is 2. But let's say from a child you had heard 1+1 is 3, then you're also a parrot. You just repeat 1+1 is 3, right? So it doesn't have to be a little parrot. We are also in a way parrots, but we think we're smart and we have our own thoughts, right? But they're all in a way taken from something else we've heard. Anything else, Snigdha?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also like how we follow our parents depending on how they are. So like if they are very good, kind, and like you also get influenced by them and you also start to be good and kind. But if they're bad and they're very like they're telling all bad stuff, you'll also become like them. So whatever how your parents are, you'll also be the same way.
Exactly. So that's what we're all parrots in a way. Thank you, Snigdha. Anything else? Or that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Snigdha. Tejas. Sorry, Shreyas?
Yeah, so I understood from the story, the main moral I understood is what a living thing surrounding is, it will do the same. As Digda said, but I'm saying in my words, like we are the parrots, and our parents are the butcher or the rishi. If our parents are good, kind, like the rishi, we will also copy the same, because they say learn from us. We are your parents. We also learned it from our parents, like the parampara you said. Then, but if you have parents who don't care and say bad words, go hit him, and etc., like those parents, the child will also follow and will go for generations like this. So the main and that I also had in my Kannada textbook, just I translated it. Like it was one hunter was there. He took two birds to his home. Then a rishi came and a bacha came to buy it, and the same story repeats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the main thing I understood, that how a living thing surrounding it just copies. It just like, yeah, we are parrots of our parents, like they're the rishi, and yeah, that's main point I understood.
Yeah. Thank you. Kirtana, would you like to?
Yeah. So basically, it's up to us to lead our lives. Like we should always be with good people. Like to sum it all up, there's a Kannada proverb like Sajjana Sangha Hejjenu Savidante, which means we should always be surrounded by good people, and they have a really great influence upon us. If we're surrounded by bad people, we get influenced by them and tend to do bad things. So it is up to us to have good company, good friends, and so that we can lead good lives.
No.
Is what I.
Thank you. Akshat?
Yeah, what I understood that was how we are surrounded with good people or bad people. Uh, that depends on them, and how if they are good, we'll also be good. If they are bad, we'll also be bad. Like it is like that the proverb is there. No, I forgot the proverb actually.
No problem. You can share it if you remember later, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we should have good company, and if we have bad company or bad people are around us, then also, but also we should be good.
Right. And the shloka is not talking only about our company, it's also talking about how this company influences us to interpret some things, and how this knowledge is not necessarily lost, but misinterpreted, and that way it's lost. Did you understand that part? It's not talking only about who we are with. It's also talking about the knowledge that we interpret and we understand.
We gain knowledge from people around us.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Akshat. Would you like to share anything else? So that's it. Akshat? Okay. Thank you. Rohan.
What I understand the shloka is we should not use our knowledge for bad things. Like a human has good knowledge, but still he just creates weapons for destructive technology, and still he pollutes the environment. So we should never use our knowledge for other bad things.
True. Thank you, Rohan. Snigdha, you want to add something?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I wanted to add, just give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I
We
wanted
might.
to add is that
Hmm.
there is a reason. There is like a reason why we imitate people. So we always think that why should we imitate this person? But when we see everyone is like that, we also want to fit in with them. So that's why even we become like that. That's why we imitate people, because we want to be like them. We also want to like fit in with them.
True. So that's why our peer group, like friend group, or who we are with, like
Yeah,
influence. Yeah.
it actually happens with most people.
Especially with friends, right? Because we think our friends,
Yeah,
we think they're cooler, or we think they're doing something, so I should do it.
I used to think like that, but now I don't think. I just think that more badder and all stuff.
Good. Thank you, Snigdha. Chirantan, would you like to?
Yes. So there are all types of people around us. Some are good, some are bad. Like in our school, there are good people and there are bad people. So we have to choose the right company. We have a choice that we can go, we can be like bad people, like hitting others or like type of thing, or we can be good people, helping others, teaching other things. So we should choose what we want to become.
So, yeah. So we decide
Yes.
what we do and what we become as a person.
And what we and whose company we go, that only we adopt, and we start doing the same things.
True. Thank you, Chirantan.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chirantan. Would like to add a couple of more points, Aditya.
Yeah, sure.
So excellent. Most of the focus was on how company influences us. Very true that the company can influence us, but like how Chirantan said, you have the power to choose your company. So first of all, recognize that you have the power to choose the company and to create whatever the personality that you think you want to create. So for example, what is more natural to you? Anger or peace? Happiness or sadness? So use those to guide your decision. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is, here Sri Krishna is referring to science of yoga, means science of feeling the oneness with everything. What is that science? So the separation is felt because I feel I'm separate from the tree, the dog, from another person. That sense of separation is coming because I think I am this, whatever the body that I am. So that is the fundamental separation that most people feel. And what Sri Krishna is teaching here is that it is indeed a false understanding. The sense of separation that one feels is a false understanding, is like an illusion. However, when the right teaching is not there, and who can give the right teaching? Only a right teacher. For example, if you want to learn how to make dosa, who should you learn it from? The one who knows how to make good dosa. If you want to learn mathematics, who should you learn from? The one who is good at mathematics. Likewise, when you have to learn about your true self, about your own very nature, you have to learn from someone who is established in that. And the one who is established in the science of the self, and the one who can teach it, is called a Sadguru. So when you learn the Atmavidya, that is about you, from the right teacher, then only it will bring the right modification or transformation within you. When it is not learned, it can also be lost. For who? For that person who has not learned it from the right teacher. That is also another way of looking at this shloka. All right?
Thank you, JG. Anyone has anything to ask? Any questions about that? Snigdha, you have anything?
Yeah, just last, okay? So basically, we should also be like at least be smart enough to like we should be at least smart enough. So if our parents are abusive or bad or like all those stuff, then we should be smart enough to not follow them, because you will also turn out to be a bad person. So it's good to not be the bad person like your parents. You can also become good. So you some people whose parents are bad and all stuff, they should not really follow it. They should have that sense that they shouldn't follow it, and like it's bad. They'll also turn out to be a person like them. So instead of following them, they can also become good, and they cannot listen to their parents, and they can do their own stuff, because they can only control their life. Nobody else can. So they know what to do. So this is what I wanted to say.
A good example of this is Vibhishana from Ramayana, right? He was surrounded by bad influence, like his older brother Ravana and Kumbhakarna and everyone else. But he still turned out to be a good person, and he went to Rama because he had his
Yeah.
own sense
He
of.
wanted to follow his heart, and he thought Rama was a very good person, and so he could help him.
Right. So what you're trying to say is not necessarily we have to only follow what's around us. We can also have our own sense of right and wrong. Thank you, Sita. That's true. Rohan.
Yeah, even Karna from Mahabharata could just choose to be in the side of the Pandavas. If he was in the side of the Pandavas, then I think that the war would have just got finished.
The sixth brother of the Pandavas, Karna.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So he chose to be on the side even though he knew that the Pandavas were his own brother. Yeah. Thank you, Rohan. Pavani, would you like to share one small thing if you're fine? Anything you understood?
Yes, Mahodaya. We should make good friends. If our parents is also good, if we make bad friends, if we will get influenced by them.
Yeah. So, thank you. Everyone else done? Anything else? Anyone else to add? Okay. I'll stop sharing. Thank you. Hari Om.